Profanity Nation.
Yeah, it's the new era of man for some old school fans with a new school brand. We got money on the mic with the plan in hand. And Stat Pat to his left, they go hand in hand. And to the right, we got Simpster, he putting it down. It's the Profanity Nation, we running the town. Yeah,
It's the Profanity Nation.
Profanity Nation.
Today is a special day. Today is a day of reckoning. Today is the first annual Profanity Nation Lakers Roundtable.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So, of course, you know I have my co-host here. We've got Money Mike over here to my right and just directly across. How you feeling?
Hey, I'm good, man. I'm calling it more of a therapy session.
Yeah, this
You know
is
what I mean?
this
So
for
we
therapy
have to-
for
we
all
have to
Lakers
support
fans. I
ourselves
love it.
Because we were supposed to be 7-3, and we were 5-5.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
not right.
We're gonna get to that.
We got to figure out how we're gonna make it.
We're gonna get to that. Stat Pat?
We in this
We
bitch.
are definitely in this
for
bitch, so
sure,
we
man. We up in here right now, and we are hype. Look, I know it's 5-5, but I'm seeing some positivity.
Okay.
I'm seeing some things change. I'm not really doom and gloom. I'm actually thinking that we have righted the ship a little bit. So yeah, let's talk about it.
All right. And of course, you can see we have some guests here with us. Let's introduce our in-studio guest here. Of course, you know him. You know him as Dan the Laker Fan on Twitter or
Yes,
X
yes.
or whatever you want to call it. You're obviously a Lakers influencer. There you go. You're obviously a Laker influencer. So we brought you in today. We're going to talk about the Lakers. We're going to figure out. Thanks for joining us, my friend. Glad to have you.
Thank you guys for having me, man. I'm excited.
Love
I,
it, man.
I actually think we're ahead of the curve, fellas.
You
Last
know?
year we started off horribly, man.
Yeah.
And there's no vampires in the locker room last I checked, so
Right,
we
right.
should be straight.
All right, excellent. Let's introduce our guests who are with us virtually. We have Daniel Starkin, the managing editor from LakersNation.com. You guys do excellent work. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, you guys are kind of the essential voice when it comes to Lakers and Lakers news, no question about it. Thank you for everything. Thank you for all you do.
Absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me and excited to, talk to the Lakers with some, real fans.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what we got for sure.
100%.
And then you all know him. Last but not least, that's for sure, our buddy, our friend, the man, the myth, Petty. Petty.
Let 'em know.
Pettiest Laker fan is with us,
Yeah.
of course. Again, we're going with Lakers influencers here. We're going with Lakers voices. So, guys, let's get started right away if you're into that. This is a round table, so we all can talk. Let's just not talk over each other, but we're going to get heated because this is our team. This is our team.
Right.
So we're going to go at it. All right. On Profanity Nation, as we did a show, and we kind of, looked out for what we thought the first 10 games were going to look like. And all of us are pretty resolute looking at that schedule, maybe a 7-3. That obviously hasn't taken place. Let's start with Daniel. Daniel, Lakers are 5-5 after 10 games. Initial thoughts on the team and the what they've done so far.
Yeah, I think it's still really early in the season, and we all know how many injuries they've dealt with. So I think you could look at 5-5 and say, yeah, if you want to be a championship type team, you should be better than that. But at the same time, if you look at the circumstances, the schedule, got off to a really tough start, and there's some teams that they played that are actually looking better than we thought. So I think all things considered, still really early in the season. But like Dan was saying, they were 2-10 to start last year or whatever. So 5-5 doesn't sound half bad to me.
Yeah, exactly. And let's go straight to Petty. 5-5. First, what were your expectations when the season started, and then what are you feeling right now?
So I always try to temper my expectations. My take here, and this is I'm gonna be on Mike about this. Let's act like we've been here before. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a long season, and there's been a lot of long seasons, especially following the last season that we had. Like they were saying, we started out with a 2-10 start, and we ended up in the Western Conference Finals. So I can't sit here and be like, oh, we're gonna win, the first round off the first, 10. But I obviously expected them to do better. For me, it hasn't really been about if they've won; it's how they or lost. It's about how they won or lost, and it hasn't been entertaining. And sometimes, and it's also been just kind of a mess. The things that they're not doing has been frustrating. So it's less about the actual, hey, they have this many wins and this many losses, and it's more so about there's something that's missing right here,
Yeah, some chemistry, guys. You brought up the start last season, Dan. I'd like to go to that. Okay, so last season, of course, they were 2-10.
2-10.
2-10 to start the season. Now, we all bleed purple and gold, but guys, looking back on that season and comparing to that, isn't that just fool's gold? That's not real gold right there. You can't count on that to happen again. I don't know that that's ever happened in the league unless you guys can remind me. But
it was bad.
Isn't that just making us feel better?
No, last season, man, the way it started, we had to know it was going to be bad. The chemistry just looked crazy off, right? We had a brand new head coach in Darvin Ham, and Russell Westbrook had an undefined role. It was just all bad from the start. However, this season, man, there's a couple of things that got me really encouraged. All right, we beat two teams we usually don't beat. Okay, I'm talking around this time of the year. The Flippers and the Phoenix Suns. And the Phoenix Suns, we beat them twice already.
Yeah.
So that's I already counted 3 wins that usually we struggle to take off early in the season. I tend to be more of a positive mind. At times I could get upset. Now, that beatdown we took in Houston, that was some BS, straight up. So, those are like the discouraging ones, especially no matter who's playing, right? You cannot get beat down by 34 to the Rockets. However, I find
to
a lot
any
of
team.
Yeah, to any team, but especially the Rockets. They're up and coming. And so I find it very encouraging that we've already beat a couple of teams we struggled with all season long last year. So I actually think we're ahead of the curve. I know my man right here don't agree with me, but
well, I mean, here's the thing. So last year, I mean, we could go and compare, what we were last year versus this year. First of all, we have a completely different team,
right?
And we hit our stride going. The second half of the season, all the way into the playoffs, we overperformed. So we obviously now we have a team that had the chemistry. Rob Pelinka did a great job in building the team of players that we needed for LeBron, all that type of stuff. We have a second-year coach who understands the players and stuff. I mean, we can't compare what happened last year to what happened this year. But
can you compare what happened at the end of last season with what's happening this year?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
But at the same time, like I'm still complaining about the same things. LeBron is not, huh?
Same.
He said, I'm still complaining about the same thing.
I'm still complaining about the same thing.
And the year before that.
Look. No. I'm talking about no. What I'm saying is in the beginning, I said the second half when we have this team, right? And this year now I'm not talking about the first 10 games because we completely didn't have that team. We have to bring it after all the trades happened last year into to this team that starts off here. My expectations were definitely higher because they had the chemistry. Be able to get into the playoffs and make some noise there, and then they were coming back with the same team with additions that we all agreed with. And Darvin Ham, more seasoned, have a better relationship with AD and LeBron. They both were 100% healthy. I mean, but I'm complaining about the same thing. You know what I'm complaining about? LeBron not making the right play. Why is this guy shooting? Why is LeBron?
We'll get to individual players. We'll get to individual players. Step out your thought.
Okay, so we're 5-5. Okay, and there's some losses that we shouldn't have taken, and some wins that we probably stole. I mean, let's be real. I mean, we're gonna keep it a buck, right? But at the same time, look, we have this rotation that looked like it was almost set in stone. We kind of like all saw it. Terrion Prince being in the starting lineup.
Yep.
He goes out. So now we don't have this starting lineup person that we were going to be the fifth.
And originally it was supposed to probably be Vanderbilt.
Right. And so then Vanderbilt had to play.
Yep.
Gabe Vincent was playing in the beginning. I mean, he plays pretty good defense at the top. I was respecting the defense he was playing right at the top. So, I mean, we're missing that. And then, of course, LeBron James and AD missing a game or two here and there. They haven't had that, complement of players so we can really fully assess this team. And so, like I said, I am looking at it as, glass half full. Maybe I'm an optimist. Maybe, but at the same time, look, dude, let's be real. That last year we did start bad, but we are better. Mm-hmm. But we will. I think when you look at the schedule, we have our own games. One thing is encouraging: 4-0 at home. I like the fact that the Lakers are protecting home court. We haven't done it in a long time. We drop a lot of games at home in the past few years. can we hold it down and make it a fortress to come into crypto?
It'll always be Staples to us.
Right. It felt like that. And it's like, let's get us on the road. Because we need the camaraderie, right? We need that camaraderie. We need that chemistry. Because that's going to get us the extra. But, at home, we kind of like take it for granted.
All right. We're holding that. Daniel, we brought up, that we're kind of, instead of comparing them to the start of last season, let's compare them to the second half of last season. I think, when we went in and we were talking on our show for that first 10 games, we were expecting to see a little bit more continuity coming in with the second year's Darvin Ham and with LeBron and AD. We knew there were some role players in there, but we expected some continuity. Do you think it's just the injuries that have affected that, even though the superstars are there?
I definitely think the injuries are a major part of it. Like you guys just kind of broke down how many guys they've been missing, and those are key rotation guys, like starters, like six men, like guys they're expecting, to be big parts of this team. So it's tough when, especially like in training camp in the preseason, when you already don't have those guys. Like you mentioned, Vando, he played the first preseason game and then hasn't played since then. So that makes it tough for building continuity. So that's why I just think it's kind of too early to be full on, panicking. With that said, though, I do think there are some concerning things we've seen, and there's been some trends like slow starts, like they've been down double digits in the first quarter every game. It feels like they're getting killed on the glass. Like those are things that are serious cause for concern and need to be addressed. But I do think getting some of those guys back will kind of help in those areas too. So I think. Even though there is areas for concern, I still think we're 10 games into the season, that continuity is going to develop, throughout the year. Talk to me in March and April about continuity, and we'll see then.
Scott?
Yeah. I also think that I highlight the injuries as being one of the major reasons that we had such slow start. However, I mean, it shouldn't be understated how how slow out the box that Austin Reeves started. We were depending on Austin Reeves to be that third person, and in the beginning of the season, he just wasn't living up to that. Now, is he buying into his 6-man role? Ham sold Ginobili. He bit that. He took that. He said, "Yeah, I can be that guy." And since then, if you look at Austin Reeves' numbers over the last 5 games. He's shooting over 50% from the field. He's shooting He has 17 points a game. He's getting about 5 assists. These are good stats for them coming off the bench. And if he's going to do that, then I think, okay, now we got something cooking. If you go ahead and you put him on the bench, team him up with maybe say Vando, or you can team him up with Cam Reddish. Then you see we starting to say now, okay, now the second unit is now looking beefy. Before it was kind of like anemic. But now it's like we got some guns coming off the bench. And,
yeah, go ahead, Petty, please.
So one thing that I feel like we're also not giving this team grace in is the fact that they're running a different offense, right? They're not running they're running a 5-out offense right now. So that changes someone like Austin Reeves' role, who all the things that you said I think are a factor, but his role with what has changed from him from going to a 4-out to a 5-out, and I think you're seeing the difference between the way he plays when he's the guy he's back in the role that he was when he comes 6-man off the bench. So I feel like that's a factor, not only just for AR, but also for the team in general. We look at this team how come they don't have the same they don't feel as comfortable in the offense? Well, it's D'Lo and Austin Reeves, they're playing a different role than they were last year. So I feel like that's a factor also. But that's just me. That's something I feel like when we don't give teams or the Lakers the same grace that other teams get, because around this time of the year, everyone's just trying to a win is a win at this point of the year. You know what I mean? We're 20, 30 games in. Then, like you said, in March, we're why is it that there's no continuity? But you can tell that Darvin Ham has switched things up. You can tell that he had the 10, 12 game approach going into the season, and injury after injury was okay, no, I have to figure out how to win now. And that's why you're seeing the changes now, and you're seeing why the Lakers look so much better in the last 2 years.
Now, one thing we can say about it, when you talk about the Lakers, though, and we've all know it, so I can say this with confidence, we know we ain't got that grace. We know we can't have that grace. That's being real with it. I mean, if we gonna go ahead
every other team in the world
and have this hubris of being 17-time Laker fans, then the expectation is inherent. Like, it's not going to be where we can sit there on our laurels and be like, oh, we've done that before. We don't hang up Pacific Division title banners for a reason.
Especially when you have LeBron.
The situation, our
in the final,
expectations
final
are too
years.
high. So yes, I mean, I get that. Yes, I would love to give it, but we are and win now all the time. It is always pressure. And we know it's always pressure because any misstep the Lakers do, other fan bases are jumping them. They're trying to crush us for every little thing. So you already know that we feel the pressure as just Laker fans. You're like, oh, okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. I got to get on Twitter. Here we go.
Yeah. Every time you have the Lakers don't perform well, like, all of us are like, oh, man, do I go online? I don't know.
I ain't getting on spaces. I ain't going
That's your job. So we all do.
Your chin's out there, bro. Your chin's way out there.
So for me, this is what I feel like. As a content creator, someone who's seen like a bunch of these seasons where they started one way and ended the other, both ways, right? We've had seasons where it started out well, and then like, wow, this is not like a contending team, right? By the 30-game win. You're like, dang. So for me, I just kind of feel like as the people who, us in this group, are the people who influence the way that the fans see it. I was trying to do try to do my best to make like the positive of it, make it fun. So I agree with you guys. Like I the same way. That's how I speak in private. Is what you guys.
There's on the record and off the record.
Right. So right now, everybody's trying to find an identity right now, including the Lakers. They're integrating so many different new pieces coming in. We still haven't really seen Gabe Vincent in the offense. You know, he was starting to get comfortable when he got hurt. And of course, all the new players, right? Cam Reddish looks phenomenal.
Yeah. The emergence of Cam Reddish has definitely made a difference.
That's true.
That's right.
I'm on record for saying, hey, this Cam Reddish situation needs to end.
Absolutely.
What I saw in preseason was terrible. And I have an agenda right now, guys, because in training camp, Vander was shooting threes, and in his first preseason game, he knocked down like 2 or 3 threes.
Yep, so absolutely.
If he can do that, that's really going to open up the offense. He can be just a person who sits in the corner and has a respectable three-pointer and can defend the best player. This team's going.
You know, guys, speaking of Reddish, we're speaking of Vanderbilt coming back. Now, we know, in fact, you tweeted today that he's been cleared to move towards full contact. So let's just go besides Vanderbilt. Daniel, let's start with you. Who is the injured player we most are looking forward to getting back besides Vanderbilt that we think is going to make a difference on this team or get this team rolling?
I mean, it was Rui Hachimura until he just got back, and he's looked good the last couple games, so that's good to see. So I guess the other guy would be Gabe Vincent, just because he's supposed to be that third guard who's kind of taken over, the Dennis Schroeder role, who could come off the bench and provide that playmaking and that defense and that steady shooting. That's kind of might be why they kind of had to move Reeves to the bench to take on some of those, point guard duties, just because they're short on guards. Like when you look, they really only have, 3 ball handling guards on this team. I guess the fourth would be Jalen Hood-Schifino, who's also out, but also a rookie, so wasn't expected to make an impact this soon. So I think getting Gabe back to play those steady minutes off the bench to give you that point of attack defense that this team has really been missing, I think that'll be nice to have him back, even though there hasn't really been an update on him, so who knows when that will.
Yeah, and money. As you know, Darvin Ham likes to play his multiple guard lineups.
Yeah, it's it's like he wants to play all 5.
So everyone's kind of like, well, dude, if one's out, okay, make them, do some different things there, you guys.
Yeah, but you know what my concern is, like last year, I'm not gonna say it was bad, but everybody was playing mediocre last year. Like there was no team that had over 55 wins pretty much. Like that's why we was able to kind of sneak in like with our record and be able to even get into the playoffs because of that. But I mean, you got the Nuggets, man, trying to prove they 8-2. You got the Mavericks, they're 7-3. Mavericks are 8-2, and then Timberwolves are 7-2. So I mean, you have these teams actually, and Nuggets right now, they really want to get it. We're in a seed right now, and I know it's early, but I think we still have to be able to be played above 500 going forward. We can't because I think that the records there's going to be some 60-win teams this year, and we can't just, say, oh, yeah, when somebody gets back from being hurt, we can do it. We have to figure out something now. I have a little sense of urgency. Am I wrong?
No, you're not. But, I mean, with the team.
Do you think we have 61 teams this season?
Yeah, 100%. I think the Nuggets going to be a 60-win team. I mean, what do you think, Dave? I saw you smirk, man. What do you think?
I think if they could get, in the 48 to 50 range and be like a 3 or 4 seed, that would be, nice. I just think the regular season isn't really, the important thing for this team. Obviously, you have to win enough games to make the playoffs, and you really want to avoid the play-in this year, that's for sure. But I think you want to be peaking, as you're going into the later months of the season, into the playoffs. Like, I think right now we're in November. Like, I get what you're saying. Like, you definitely don't want to fall behind the 8 ball like they did last year. But I think considering everything that has gone wrong and all the injuries, for them to be 5-5, like that's like worst case scenario.
That's
like,
what I'm
you'll take that. But I definitely agree. They got to start, winning games. You can't be in the 8, 9, 10 spot, all season long and expect to, a miracle like last year.
Yeah. So of those teams that are at the top of the conference, are they fully healthy? Are they missing key players? Have you know what I'm saying? So I know they are 8-2, and that looks great. And yeah, Luka and Kyrie is killing it right now.
Yeah, Luka. I mean,
however,
but as Dan brought up, Utah was killing it at this time, and further into the season.
But Utah really like everybody was looking at Luka.
Jamal Murray just got hurt. He's going to be out for the next month, right?
Mm.
So who knows how that's going to affect them. I mean, I think they'll still be great. I don't think they're going to be like, they'll go on like a 4-game losing streak because they still have the best player in the league, in my opinion.
Oh, yes.
I have to say, like, to go to, along with his point, is it's like there's a lot of players who we're looking at the people who are doing well right now. Like, we're saying, like, man, our team should be doing as well as them. But it's like, to me, like, it's a marathon. I've seen it where I was losing my mind at this time of the year last year, and we ended up making it to the Western Conference Finals from, like, literally broke record, like the first team or second team to ever to do it from losing. The first 10 games or something like that, or 10 of the first 12 games.
I don't know if anyone's ever done it.
No. And let me tell you, to add to what you just said, bro, the way I gauge the Lakers is not about how many wins they get. I just want them to have home court advantage in the first round. So that means top 4 seed. That's right. So if we can start off good and get out of the gates in the playoffs, now I'm feeling confident, right? Last year we had to start. We were behind the 8 ball. A lot of that was because of the trade and, the late camaraderie, some injuries there at the end of the season. But this season is different, man, because like you mentioned, Denver is the only team that I could say in the West that truly has an identity. Yeah. Outside of Denver, who else? You think like even Phoenix struggling?
Oh no, yeah,
right.
So he added a huge piece over there.
So again, this is like,
Well, I can tell you one thing. When it comes to like one thing that I can say that we can take away from the playoffs of last year is I really do trust the Lakers on the road. Like to win a big game.
Really?
Yeah, because we've done it. We've done it. I mean, we were a seed. We just talked. We have to win on the road to even get to the Western Conference Finals. Yep. You have to win on the road. So we did that. We proved that. We were down. Everyone said that we were going to get ran out the gym by the Warriors. What we do come in game 1, snatch that.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That's the Warriors. And everybody said they were
plays back.
Everybody was going to like picking them to. How were they able to go ahead? Everybody was on the nuts because of the 50-game game 7, point game 7, and then all of a sudden game 1 happened, and then all of a sudden switching up. So I'm just saying we did that against Memphis. We did that against the Warriors. Now we didn't do that against the Denver, but we were in both of those games. Both games and in Denver, we were in both of those games with the lead.
But in regards to the game versus the Nuggets, like a sweep is a sweep. Don't get me wrong, but it's not that every game.
We were in it.
Was close. If Anthony Davis and LeBron James both have their great games. Like the first game, Anthony Davis was amazing. Yep. LeBron James stunk up the place. They both had games where they were like really great, and then the other one did.
Wait a minute! Don't do that.
But listen, no, Mike.
Anytime anyone says anything disparaging to LeBron, he's like.
No, but you have to realize too there's a reason that team won the championship.
Yeah, right? Absolutely.
Beat them. They
championship. They're winning the championship.
So let's not act like this team. That team was like some scrub playoffs or that we struggled because it was I think that the entire series was won by 25 points or less than 20 points.
Something like that.
How many points that they scored? So if LeBron James and AD have a good game at the same time, who knows if that goes 6 games, because of the momentum and things like that. So I don't feel like I like our chances with it, if we end up against them in the Western Conference Finals.
But guys, I think we're missing the big point here, right? I think the Lakers' goal isn't to improve upon last year's record. I think our goal is to find key pieces in the rotation that coach could trust, because last year our rotation was too short. That was part of the reason we got swept in the Western Conference Finals. Mm-hmm. If we can find another gem like Cam Reddish, right? Maybe Gabe Vincent, not maybe obviously Christian Wood. Now you're becoming deeper. All of a sudden you have different options. Now you're a 10-man team heading into the playoffs. Now the pressure isn't on LeBron. Part of the reason, like Petty said, LeBron stunk it up in one of those games in the Western Conference Finals. He was gassed. Right. By the time he got there, he had his back was hurting from carrying so much. And it's not all his fault either, because Darvin Ham didn't trust certain guys like Tristan Thompson that I thought he should have played, right? But now it's like, okay, the front office said, we went out, we got you some proven guys. Like Gabe Vincent was in the finals last year. No excuses, play him. Right now all of a sudden, Cam Reddish is helping us win games, right, ladies and gentlemen. That in itself is super encouraging to me. Forget about the record. Now you got extra weapons that Darvin can play with come the playoff time, and that's where I think we're getting better. This is why I'm encouraged, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You make a really good point. Yeah. I think the biggest takeaway for me so far, if you were going to ask me what's the biggest takeaway so far from this this season, is that assuming health, that there's optionality, and there wasn't that last year. Like Darvin Ham also had to play. Like we haven't given him enough breaks. I mean, 5 games into the season with all the injuries, we're already seeing him trending about fired our coach.
That's classic Laker fans.
Yep.
Yeah. He has not been a perfect coach by any means at all. But he showed me something in the playoffs. Like in my opinion, he showed me some things that this is a coach that you can trust and that the stars respect you. If the stars respect you, then then I think that everything else will follow suit. One concern about this team though is we don't have that Dennis Schroeder, we don't have that dog on this team right now. Like the guy who's just gonna get under people's skin. Like the closest thing we have to that defensively is like Vando, but like actual attitude, like somebody who's gonna be the
annoyance,
mocking somebody after
the Sasha Vujacic.
We don't have that on this team.
Maybe they just haven't shown up yet, Petty. So someone will take that role. We'll see. There's always, everyone always takes a role on the team, and like you said, it's still really early. What we're gonna do, we're gonna take a quick break. When we get back, we're gonna start talking about individual players, individual performances, and so forth. But we're also gonna talk about a former Laker that decided to talk a little bit of smack about the Lakers 2020 championship. When we get back, we'll see what you say. Thanks, guys.
Profanity Nation.
A podcast for the fans, by the fans. Dive deep into the topics the other shows miss. Raw and uncensored.
And he's going to play team ball. His legacy is at stake.
Rare, hard-hitting interviews with players, coaches, and you, the super fans.
I'm not hating. I'm like, okay, cool. Good.
3 championships in 5 years. You're more than good, bro.
Profanity Nation. Listen live or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Powered by Jesse Brown of Keller Williams.
United One Protection Services. With over 30 years of experience, United One Protection Services has more expertise and knowledge than the other security companies combined. Residential, commercial, municipal, or institutional, United One Protection Services does more than just security. We protect your livelihood. United One Protection Services.
You know, when we left, we went to commercial, and I kind of teased a little bit, but there's, you know, nowadays athletes do podcasts. You're welcome to come on this show. We'll talk to you. So former Laker Lou Will, he came out and was talking about his time in the bubble. And of course, he was a former Laker, and I actually like his game a lot. You know, great six man. I mean, one of the most iconic six man out there. But he tried to play this card, saying that in the bubble, that, you know, when they were there at about the 67-day mark, the team really just didn't care anymore. That there were rumblings that this championship didn't matter. They never really wanted to be there anyway, so they all just kind of gave up. So they were up 3-1. And just said, forget it. This isn't worth it. We want to go home. Anyone here? I see you shaking. Let's start with Daniel. Daniel, are you buying that at all?
It sounds like a bunch of excuses to me. I forgot which one of you guys said it, but you were saying the Clippers
Lou Will
losing or whatever.
Yeah.
That sounds like a comment a loser would make, honestly. Like, I remember what, like, I think he said in that, like, that they heard all the buzz that, like, people weren't going to treat the championship as a real championship. Like, going back to when it was actually happening, I don't remember that at all. Like, I remember everyone was watching those games every single night, like, thankful that there was basketball on, like, saying how, like, it was pure hoops. Like, there's no distractions, no nothing, just hoops. But then when a certain team and when a certain player, LeBron, wins it all, then that's kind of when that
haterade.
It started coming out. So to me, that just sounds like a bunch of excuses from a guy who played on a team that blew a 3-1 lead when they were supposed to win it all.
Petty, he wasn't the only one. George Karl also said that the bubble championship doesn't count. Former coach. If you got it.
Well, one thing about George Karl, it's always going to be, whether it's emotionally or in his career, he just can't get past the Lakers. So I'm not worried about it.
He's again a resident Laker hater.
He's still salty, isn't he, Petty? He's still salty, man.
He's never gonna, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's never gonna get past the Lakers. Should have been Kobe, right? Whatever, right?
Yep.
So well, this is my issue. This is my issue with this whole conversation. I buy it. I do buy it because that is the mentality that locker room has. My issue is that they talk themselves into a corner because the whole thing about the bubble is, I don't even try to put it as like, oh, this is a better championship. Each season has its own circumstances. There's a lockout season where the season was a lot shorter.
That's what I was going to say.
The best player on a team, but we're gonna like forget Kawhi's run because the best team in the world got all their starters got injured. Are we gonna take that away from him? No, they start calling him Jordan or whatever it's called. I can't even entertain the conversation. But my issue is everything that they say is actually like proving the point that maybe this championship is something that's elevated. Because if the team can't even mentally do their job, everybody here had the pandemic too, right? We all had things that we had to do. We had to go to work, and we didn't have the safest place in the entire United States to go to. So for me, as far as like give me, Crimea River, play the smallest. Smallest violin in the world because I don't care. And you're not the messenger for this. You are the person who got fined $150,000 for going to the strip club.
I forgot about
Lemon Pepper Lou.
Why you're not the messenger? Even if for some reason it was like,
I love that.
It's just a destitute experience. You're not the person to be talking about it because you're a vet and you were out there at the strip club. So listen with it. Like I can't.
So look, here's my question. Stat Pat, let me ask you a question. How many rings Tim Duncan have?
5.
Yes, 5, right?
Yeah.
Right. Now, you know, one of the rings he got. Yeah. You know, it was a shortened season.
Lockout.
It was a lockout. You know, they didn't. Play,
nobody talks about.
They didn't play the full amount of games, right? But nobody talks about that, right? He has credit for his 5 rings, and we're just going to go on about it.
The best player on too.
Right. But I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So. What kills me is this is only happening because the Lakers won the championship.
The bar is always different. People always judge it different, consider it different.
Because listen, a ring is a ring is a ring. Yep. You go to Wikipedia, it's gonna say championship.
How many?
And 10 years from now, it's gonna say. I mean, look, everybody want to look. I'll say this. Hey, LeBron has 4 rings.
Facts.
LeBron has 4 rings. Did y'all hear me? When you said
we heard
LeBron has 4 rings, right?
Just don't
so I'm the biggest critic of LeBron in this room, and I'm acknowledging LeBron's ring. So come on, y'all. Like what happened with the bubble? Everybody had a struggle. However, if you want to give up because you couldn't take it, and somebody else was more mentally tough to be able to take it, hey, it is what it is, dog. You know what I mean?
Proving the point, though, right?
Right, 100%.
Yeah.
You sit here, they sit here and give all these excuses or platitudes or reasoning of why it was just too difficult for them to get in the mindset. Like, so you're telling me it was more difficult than a regular season?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know. To be honest,
but it didn't matter.
To be honest,
No.
But
the Lakers won. It didn't matter.
But
it's a third of a.
But let's really dissect this, right? Let's really break this down for what it was. They act like Gen Zers, right?
Ooh,
you know, they act like Gen
Zers.
Zers. Because here's the thing, they had every listen. Look, Gen Zers can't sit still, right? They need to have their phone. They need to be, you know what I'm saying? Hey, we're boomers.
Mike. What did you say were the comments last time Dan the Laker fan was on? You got who is this old geezer comment?
100%. Hey, newsflash. I was born, and look, as my daughter would say, I was born in the 1900s. Now, you guys happy? Now, but see, this is my point in me saying that. My point is literally, like you said, they were in the bubble. They had nothing else to do but concentrate. They didn't have no travel. They didn't, they
had the internet.
I mean, but what I'm saying is, though,
you talking about Gen Zers? They had the internet.
But what I'm saying is, though, but they had less to do. You know what I mean? They had less distractions.
Yeah.
You had more focus on the basketball. These people wanted to do something else. Lemon Pepper Lou and go, try to sneak a girl in or whatever.
Which means
you
ain't
guys
focused.
had other stuff on your mind. The fact that they had you in a place where 90% of what you had to do was basketball. Stepping, you ain't gotta travel. All your people are there. Hey.
Let me tell y'all why it is. The same reason that Lou Will was absent from the bubble is the main reason that some of those people couldn't take it in the bubble. And we don't talk about
that's true.
It's true.
We know.
100%.
We know. Hey,
they can't sit still.
Hey, Patty. I mean, if we really got, okay, we're not. This might be an This might be an off-camera conversation because
just don't name a name.
Because we just know there are certain vices that you need, access to
that people get used to.
Hey, I mean, it was just what.
But you know what? Let's just call it spade a spade. This whole thing is summed up into one thing. All right, it's right on brand with the Clippers. They always have an excuse for everything. Okay,
everything.
And he was currently a Clipper, and now he's talking about this. So I was like, hey, I don't expect anything other from Lou Williams.
Once a Clipper,
always a Clipper,
except for Odom.
Except for that's the winner right there.
Exactly.
We cleansed them.
Exactly.
Right.
All right, guys. Let's get on to some individual player talk here, guys. Okay. And we'll just kind of bounce around quickly here. We'll start with Daniel again. Daniel, Austin Reeves, up to this point, 10 games in. Thoughts on that?
It wasn't a great start. I'll tell you that. I mean, I think he started to come around the last few games. I think there definitely was, fatigue from playing with, Team USA over the summer. So they kind of, eased him into things in training camp, and then, he just kind of was out of rhythm to begin the year. I think the backcourt partnership with D'Lo hasn't quite worked out as well as it did last year, and I think that's kind of why we saw Darvin Ham make the change to bring Austin off the bench, where with more of the bench units have the ball in his hands, which he's really comfortable with, obviously, and I think it's worked out really well as we've seen the last couple of games. So I'm not worried about Austin Reeves. I know there's a lot of people, jumping on, Laker fans after 3 games into the season saying he's not worth that contract. I'm still good with Austin Reeves. I still think that contract is an absolute steal. And
sounds like a good shirt, Mike. Petty, thoughts on Reeves?
Like I said, Reeves had a couple things going on. Like you said, the fatigue, always a factor. You look at every young player that's ever. Not even just young player, but every player that's ever played in FIBA. Like you have most recently, what's his name for the Bucks? He historically was struggling right after playing in the Olympics, you know, with KD.
Okay.
And then also, so I mean, historically, especially a player who's new in the NBA, who hasn't gone through all those 82 game seasons, they're going to struggle. But again, on top of that, his role had changed. You know, he's adjusting to a completely new role. You know, being more off ball, and then also like him being like already non-athletic guard, having to guard up to some players that normally he wouldn't be having to do, and that's why you're seeing him succeed right now from the bench role, looking like a 6 Man of the Year type candidate because he has the ball in his hand and he can operate the league with less. So I'm fine with it, but I understood the criticism. It was deserved. He was not playing well at all, and I get why he was being criticized. Not to the extent of like, oh, why did you sign him? That's a great deal. You know, even if he was, half of what he played in the last couple games. But I think, overall, I'm fine with him. But the criticism was deserved.
All right. Let's keep it going. Different player, D'Lo.
D'Lo has been impressive. Starting from preseason, he's looking to be more assertive. I like that about D'Angelo because when he's passive and stuff, it's like he's just an extra body. Now you're playing 5-on-4 because defensively he's getting cooked. So I like him on ball. It definitely takes pressure off of LeBron James. I still start Austin Reeves over D'Angelo. That's controversial, but I need my closer out there in the fourth quarters. At least if he doesn't start, I need my closer, Austin Reeves. He already helped us win one game in overtime. So, but I like D'Angelo. He's gonna be good for us. I just hope he doesn't disappear again in the playoffs because if he does, there's no coming back from that.
Stat, D'Lo.
No, I think D'Lo has, for me, is pretty much been playing. I mean, up to his expectations. I mean, there's nothing. He hasn't really done anything above and beyond. I thought that he was going to come out gunning. Like I really thought.
These last 2 games, though.
Well, these are the last 2 games, but okay, no. I mean, are we going to criticize Austin Reeves' slow start and then judge him on the last 2 games? Because if we're doing that, then Austin Reeves is bomb. But we know he had that slow start. But we're talking about these last 2 games with D'Angelo.
Had a great season so far. If you just took the first 4 games, you would think he was on all-star trajectory.
Well, I mean,
he has been terrible overall.
True.
Until about the last 2 games. And we're only going off the first 2 games. So I'm just saying, like, D'Lo's been better more than Austin Reeves has been.
Oh, no doubt about that. However, I'm thinking, like, when I'm looking at D'Lo, I thought everyone was going to come in this season with this kind of motivation. Like, everyone had things to prove, right? Anthony Davis would call alternate days. I'm thinking you got to come on the court, you got to ball out. Like, that's you have your own reasons to ball. Austin Reeves, he was balling, but now everyone says he's not worth the contract. Who is this person? All right, you got to step up and show that it was all warranted. D'Lo, he disappeared in the Denver series. Can you come out and ball out and be that person? Yes, he had one game where I think he had a 38-point game this year. Whether it was like a 30-point game, something crazy. He had a 30-point game this year. I like D'Lo, but I'm just going to keep it real. I think there's no pressure because Gabe Vincent is not playing. If Gabe Vincent is playing,
that's a good point.
We need to see. I need somebody to be
that
on
pressure.
I need that pressure on him. I need you to keep it going. I don't want you to rest on it because somebody there that can take your minutes is not being playing. So I need Gabe Vincent in there so I can just be everybody's honest. Austin Reeves honest, D'Lo's honest. Everybody's the guards is honest. Okay, even Gabe Vincent got to be honest because basically we push you and marginalize you and Cam Reddish just saying take your minutes. So it's I just look at D'Lo. Yes, is he playing well? He's playing well, but I mean, I'm just wait and see. I'm gonna wait and see on D'Lo. I mean, I'm waiting to see because remember, he's not judged by the regular season. He's judged by the postseason. Okay, so that's where I have a wait and see approach on.
Can I tell you guys something? I actually thought it was really strange that Austin Reeves was the one who was benched because I think him and D'Lo kind of cancel each other out, right? Because LeBron's really the primary ball handler.
Exactly.
I actually think Austin Reeves plays better off of LeBron James rather than D'Angelo. There's times when D'Angelo just goes to the corner, stands there. He's better on ball. So I would have actually brought D'Lo off the bench and left Austin Reeves there, let LeBron run a little more point guard, and then Austin run some of it, right?
And let D'Lo general the second off the bench.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you exactly why that wasn't done. One, as much as I like Austin Reeves, he's not as good as a shooter or scorer. What we need when you have Anthony Davis and LeBron in your starting lineup, you have to have good scores on the league because they're going to always, even if they shoot great for them, they're always going to be taking away the inside, right? They're always going to let the three go versus it's just numbers.
Wait, so you think D'Lo's a better scorer than Austin?
He's a better shooter.
Oh, shooter. So, I think D'Lo's a higher volume shooter. Like he needs shots to get hot, right?
Not as efficient.
Saying, like he's just in general, I think he's a better shooter. I think.
You think so?
And off the dribble, I think.
Okay.
I think that AR is a better shot creator, and you need that when you're going to be up.
So if that's the case, how come they close the game more with Austin Reeves and D'Angelo? You don't need another shot creator.
Oh, that's because Darvin Ham loves guards.
I don't think that. Are you saying talking about in the starting lineup? Or are we talking about to close out?
I'm talking about both because I think sometimes our slow starts are because we have too many ball handlers, and at times they get stuck. Like for example, if LeBron's not handling the ball, at times he kind of disappears in the first quarter. Vice versa with D'Angelo Russell. So I think they kind of cancel each other out a little bit. Wow, versus remember when Caruso was with the Lakers, he also played really well off ball, right? So they're cutting, moving without the basketball really well. I think Austin does that a bit better, but that's just my opinion. I think Austin does that better.
I respect that, and I don't disagree.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you're maximizing both of them. I don't think you get the best out of D'Lo off the bench, and I think that because of Austin Reeves' ability to shot create, that it kind of it's not that Austin Reeves doesn't deserve to start. It's that I think you're going to get more out of D'Lo.
Because I saw him make a lot better when LeBron was gone yesterday. That was the best game, well-rounded game I saw.
Without LeBron.
So
you're gonna make Money Mike's day, of course.
So I'm just thinking, D'Lo's a true point guard, right? So he needs the ball in his hands. I actually think off the bench he would get to do that a little bit more. But again, it's difference of opinion. I do understand your point that he's a better probably catch and shoot guy percentage-wise.
He's not athletic. He's not strong as Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves is not the strongest guy in the league, but D'Angelo Russell is not a very strong player. He's not explosive athlete. He's never going to be the most athletic guy. He's never going to be breaking people down. And you need that when you're with your point guard off the bench because he's got to create opportunities for other people, who normally can't do it for themselves. So, and also
good points.
The starting lineup is
both sides
because you have two of the least athletic guards. Some of the least athletic guards, small guards, starting, and in the West, which is the most
guard heavy
guards in the entire
exactly
world, right? And so they're getting cooked out there, getting destroyed. And when you stagger them, you're just going to get the most out of both of them. And also, it's not really their fault too, because normally who's going to be in, right? One of them's not going to be in anyway, because you're going to have Lando coming in off, whoever's the best player. So I get what you're saying. I don't think that you're wrong. I think it's less about what gets the best out of the team, out of both of them. And I think that's where we disagree, right? It's I think
no, it's okay. It's a good.
That's
good
what
opinion.
It's all about.
Good opinion.
Go ahead, Daniel.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
You're good.
I also think one aspect that is at play here, I think the ego aspect of it as well. And I'm not saying D'Lo has this massive ego, but Austin is honestly the most low maintenance player in the league right now. And he's a lot of these guys in the NBA look at going to the bench as this huge demotion, as they're not a starter, they don't think they're going to play as many minutes, even though most of the time they still do. I think Austin was willing to accept that, and you don't have to worry is he going to quit on the team, or not quit on the team, but be checked out a little bit. And I think as we've seen, Austin's still closing the games, he's still playing.
I love that
starters minutes. So I think I agree that you can't really have D'Lo and Austin starting together. And I agree with Dan, which I would prefer Austin there, but I think in the sense of, you want to keep both of those guys locked in and such. I think it's fine moving Austin to the bench as long as he continues
to close.
He closed out the game, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
So it's at that point, it's just semantics, right? It's not
I'm always who finishes the game.
Yeah, that's what I care
Who's
about.
in at money time as opposed to who starts.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Whoever, like you said, I agree with you with whoever is with the game. My thing about D'Lo is, listen, I just want him to do if his shot is off, I need him to be able to do something. Can he get a rebound? Can he play some defense? Can he just do something else that's going to affect the game? Exactly.
Stronger. I always feel like D'Lo's way that he can get around the fact that, like I said, he's not the most athletic guy on the court. It's him getting that Chris Paul type of strength where he can and then he's bigger. He's taller than most guards. Like he's not a small dude. You see this guy? He's like 6'4", right? For a point guard, that's pretty. I think he's maybe either 6'4", 6'5", and if he gets stronger, then he can post people up. You know, draw in a double team and be able to really display the playmaking that he had in college when it wasn't like the top tier athletes. But you saw a lot of his playmaking. He is a good playmaker when the opportunity arises. But you saw it more on display, featured in college when he was like more on par with the athletes of the that he's in. And now that he's not, it's like I feel like you're not. I just feel like he needs to get stronger. So he's not going to get faster, right, or more athletic. So he's got to find other ways to be able to create a mismatch. And I just feel like that's the issue of why he's not consistent, because when in the playoffs you're going to have someone who's more athletic than him guarding him. Everyone's playing defense, right? And then it's going to be difficult for everyone to shoot. So if he's not scoring, then what is he doing? So, I mean,
Stat.
I see him, find a way.
Yeah, and I mean, just to go ahead and piggyback that point, one thing I do like about D'Lo, and I don't know, maybe I'm looking at it differently about his game, but I think D'Lo can get any shot he wants. I mean, I've seen him play the game and we talk about the mid-range game. He has a nice floater that he doesn't utilize a lot in that game. He can get to the cup I won't say at will, but he's able to maneuver, and he puts the ball in his left hand and maybe to make those layups. And, if he can do a couple of jab steps, he's getting that 3-point shot off. Like, he can do that. He just has to stay aggressive. Sometimes he just doesn't stay aggressive, and sometimes his shots are off.
The issue is that he can't play at any speed besides his speed.
Right? Yeah, he's got one speed.
It's that old man game, though. It feels like it feels like it's old man game. He's like, I'm gonna just go ahead and hit you the herky jerky, and I'm gonna go ahead and just finger roll,
On the fast break, on the fast break is so frustrating because LA, we want the we want the Showtime passes, and he's like, oh, let me slow it down. Literally, I remember one time.
And he's so capable of passing too. That's his best trait.
Yes,
he's a good player.
He's 4-on-1 break, and he's at the top of the key. I mean, he pulling. He pulling. Like a 4-on-1 break, he pulling at the top of the key. He pulling.
I want to see him win. I'm just being realistic.
Me too.
We all call it as we see it, guys. Okay, due to injuries on the team, we're not going to discuss some of the other role players. They haven't had a true opportunity. Obviously, Rui coming back and Vanderbilt and so forth. So we're going to move on and kind of wind this down here. We're going to start with Money here. Money, let's go to Davis. Okay. Davis so far now we all, I think, after the first game, that was a Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. That was like, okay, Davis, this is looking great. And then poof, what happened to Davis in the second half? But since then, have things bounced out, a little injury, a little this standard stuff.
Look, my biggest complaint with Anthony Davis is when he get the ball, he doesn't know what to do with it. He waits 2-3 seconds.
So he's indecisive.
I need him. If we look at I know he doesn't want to be a center and all that stuff, but we've had great centers. We knew when we threw the ball to Kareem, we was going to sweep left, shoot right immediately. We knew when we were going to throw the ball to Shaq, he was going to turn around, body in, and slam dunk, or he was going to pass it back out, reposition himself, get it back in. The problem with AD is he catches the ball, he waits 2 seconds to see if it's going to double team, it's going to make. He needs to go immediately and make that move, whatever it is. If it's going to be a fadeaway, a drop step, or something, when you hand that ball in the AD, he needs to make his move. We're giving it to you to make a move, dude. Not for you to figure out what's going on.
I think we have to acknowledge that AD is one of the greatest finishers of all time, but he's just not a great shot creator. I feel like the lower injuries have really dampened the skill that he had, the talent that he had with that. I think that's why his jumper and his mid-range hasn't been the same since the 3 lower. That's my opinion. I could be 10 for a hat, but I feel like AD he showed some improvement as a playmaker, like we saw in the last game when he got double team kicking it to Rui. That's not something that happens every time. That's the difference between him and someone like Joker, who no matter what, when he's on the court, if you double team him, he's finding the open man. Or he's knocking down the 3 if you're too far off. And if not, then by you. But he's not. That's not who he is. That's how Anthony is. And if his shot is not falling, then he can't create for himself. That's just what he is. And I think we need to accept that and then try to play.
Go ahead, Dan.
I think AD suffers from modern big man syndrome, and what that means is
MBS.
When he's 8 feet in to the basket, he's so efficient and he's so consistent. When he goes up strong, he's elite. It's when he, dribbles, pound, dribble, fade away, turn on, jump shot.
We don't want that, right?
Yeah, we don't want that, but he wants that because
he does.
That's what these bigs like, right? They like to act like guards.
It's so ridiculous.
So that's the unfortunate part. But I'm a big fan of his defense. That I see AD, yes. I think of a defensive mind. I think of his Kentucky days, and that never left, right? That's never gone. Offensive game is like a coin flip. We don't know if 30-point AD is gonna show up or 12-point AD, right? So. But I love AD, man. And we ain't shit without him. I don't agree with what Lil Wayne said, about trading him.
Like when it comes to AD, like this is what frustrates me about AD. We could go back to that first game, right? It felt like AD had a plan. Like it's like, okay, Joker's gonna body me, but Joker can't mess with these quickness. Like I'm gonna take Joker to the rack anytime I feel like it. And he was doing that consistently. Second half come around, why are you not taking him still to the rack?
Right.
Like, there's no real reason why you should stop taking him to the rack.
It was working.
It's working. Take him to the rack. Keep taking him to the rack. It just felt like, okay, his shot wasn't working. In that third quarter, he threw up some shots. And they were like, none of it was falling. And he kind of like got dejected and kind of like checked out of the game. I agree with you guys about his like shot making ability. Once he's deliberate, I think he's really, really good player. Offensively. I mean, everyone's talking about how his 3-point shot came back. I didn't give a damn about that. I really didn't care about the 3-point shot. I mean, I want him to be able to operate around that basket, with more efficiency. But taking the one game out and using that as an outlier and looking at the rest of the games, the other 9 games, AD has been, I mean, offensively, defensively, I think he's scoring like 30, like is it 30, like 26, 27 points a game. He's averaging like 12 rebounds. He's got over 3 block shots. Yeah. My man's balling out right now. He's balling. Right. So I'm going to stall him out. I'm not going to go ahead and get on AD as much. I just think that when they both play, to this day, I haven't seen, and I hate to bringing this back up. I hate bringing Shaq and Kobe into all these Laker conversations, but I got to.
That's a standard.
But I got it.
But I got to, because I've seen we've been here before. We've seen Shaq and Kobe go for 35, both of them at the same time, and it's an issue. It's an issue for your team. It doesn't matter who loves to play. It's an issue. They both getting your team in foul trouble. The guards in foul trouble. The big men in foul trouble.
The game.
Basically, they're LeBron and AD both.
Can we say that they're not an elite combo, like together duo? Yes, can we say that? Like, maybe they're good individually in spurts, but maybe they're not clicking together, because I don't see enough pick and roll plays amongst, even though they won a championship. I thought they were good individually in separate games, and very rarely, like you said, they both go off. So can we?
I disagree.
With what?
I want you to finish your point, but I want to say mine.
No, I'm asking the question. Can we say they're not like an elite one?
Hang on, Petty. Let's go to Daniel. Daniel, thoughts on AD?
Well, I think, like, you could talk about the inconsistencies offensively, but I think the defense is always there. And I think that's the point, is like, it's hard for him to carry the load he does on the defensive end while also being a 30-point per game scorer. Like that's just not necessarily realistic on a night-to-night basis. Like, yes, there are going to be nights where he scores 30 or 40 points, but with the way he kind of carries this team defensively and makes up for so many other guys' mistakes, there's going to be nights where he's just kind of floating on the offensive end. And I think that's why I think LeBron and AD are kind of the perfect complements to each other. Maybe not necessarily on the offensive end, but AD can make up for the offense on the defensive end, which LeBron at age 38, age 39, he's not going to be locked in every single possession defensively. So I think that's where AD comes in. Like, I know everyone wants him to, take the mantle, be the number one offensive option, but I just don't think that's who AD is, and I think that's okay as long as LeBron continues to be great. Like, I think AD's focus should be more on that defensive side.
Petty.
I want to say, Danny, you make some great points. Like, I agree.
Echoed.
But
so I disagree. Like I said, that was one of my first points was going to be.
I disagree.
Defensively, that's where they play the best. The issue with what we found with, in my opinion, that we found with the pick and roll is that the same person who guards them is going to guards one is going to guard the other. Versus like when a guard is doing a pick and roll with AD, like Rondo, the person that's being picked off it's a mismatch, right? So usually two people that you're putting on there, like no one can efficiently guard either of them, but it's the same, the same type of player. You're going to be like, oh, I'm going to put the same person on AD as I would LeBron.
So Petty, let me ask you this: where would you rank LeBron and AD as a duo this season? Not based off a 2020 championship, just this season. I'm talking specifically this season. Like, where you reckon?
That's different, right?
Yeah.
No.
We know what.
Are you asking for ranking with current duos that are playing?
Current duos that are playing
in the league. Gotcha.
Are they a top 5 duo this season? Right, together. Because
they better be.
I agree. I agree that defensively, AD, that's who he is. To me, he's Kentucky AD. What he gives us offensively is a coin flip. We don't know if it's 30 or 15-point AD showing up. But I'm talking about their camaraderie. When they play together, we don't go into games expecting they're both going to kill in the same game. That rarely happens. With other duos, that usually happens. Like, when you face Jamal Murray and Jokic.
I mean, that's less about LeBron and AD, and that's more about AD as a player, right? We're talking about, like, offensively, right?
Mm-hmm.
I expect AD is going to be an elite defender every game. That never misses. And I expect LeBron James is going to be the greatest passer in the NBA each night. The best get passer.
But see, that's the problem for me because LeBron James is old. And so we need AD to take a little bit more of the offensive load, in my opinion, this season in order for us to win a championship because, look, he already tweaked his ankle. He's already out for a game. Who knows if he's going to miss the next game. Right. And he's already started off extremely aggressive. Right. At his age, man, I think this is why we have the debate about a trade potentially for another star, because we don't know if AD is going to carry the load offensively. Right.
Yeah, you make a good point. But I think the fact that I think it's more so, too, about the other people around AD. It's like we saw with Rondo, how Rondo was able to unlock AD. Like, again, I go back to the shot creation. Like, he's not we have to accept at some point that AD is not like an elite, shot creator for himself. Like I feel like if his jumper's not hitting outside of just being right under the hoop, like on a lob, he's just not. And that's not even shot creation. I'm just saying, like I don't think that's something that we want from AD, and that there was potential to be there, but it's just he's not. That's not who the player who he is. He's not shown us that he's that player. So for me, I think we need players that enable AD to be able to score like that. And so far this season, until the last 2 games, we haven't got that from the players. Like we saw, Anthony Davis and AR in the pick and roll and successfully played well last night. But AR wasn't giving us that before. So I think it's less about AD as a player and more about the players around him who enable him to do that.
All right, so you got it. Let's keep this going. We're about to wrap this up, guys. So this is Mike's favorite part of the show. We're gonna go ahead and talk about LeBron here. Hang on, Mike. We're gonna get one person and then you.
You know what? I won't even comment.
Not just yet. Let's start with Dan, Lakers fan. Dan, LeBron James so far, just this season is what we're judging.
He's been sensational, if you ask me. I think look. I know my guy Mike not gonna, he's not gonna like what I'm about to say, but the 3-point shooting, the settling for that corner shot that's so controversial, he made the right play. That's the play. That's the play that was drawn up by the coach. So as a leader, you're not gonna say scratch that.
I have to say something.
But wait. So he made the right play. Now, was it to the right player? Probably not. I wish it would have been Austin Reeves or D'Lo or somebody in that corner, right? But or Torian Prince, yeah, anybody. But I agree with you guys that I wish we didn't settle for so many threes. That's more so on the coaching staff.
Yep.
Right? They want us shooting more threes. They said it early on. They want us pushing the pace, getting stops, and getting out and shooting threes. I wish they would play and take advantage of their positional advantages. For example, AD parked 8 feet in. LeBron James, more pick and rolls with AD, more 2-man game to close games, especially, right? So I don't put that on LeBron. I think LeBron, come on, man. He's 38, going on 39, playing like a GOAT. All right. Like, not my GOAT, but like a GOAT.
Deal.
And so he's doing sensational.
Daniel?
I'll just say from a physical standpoint, I think he's looked great. Like, I think with the foot injury, like he wasn't at 100% in the playoffs last year, and he was still, pretty good. So I think we're kind of seeing he's got that pre-injury burst back that we saw last year around December, January when he went on that kind of scoring streak. He's kind of looked like that physically. So that's a good thing. I think the key is how do we maintain that all the way up until the playoffs. Like I know injuries can happen at any time, but ideally he wouldn't be playing as many minutes as he had and as he has. And I think as guys get healthy, that should help with that. But I just hope he can stay healthy. Like I enjoy watching the guy play basketball at his age. Like what he's doing is we've really never seen it before.
Petty, Mike's squirming here, but I'm going to let you get your take in before we get to it, because I'm sure he's going to close the show when we get to it. So we'll just have to let you go first, please.
So about LeBron, right? I think LeBron has been sensational. I don't. For me, the one thing that I really want to take a moment to is like perspective. Man, we're not going to have another player like the LeBron, the Kareem. Those people come around like once in a generation. They're generational. Yep. And I think the fact that Mike even has the audacity to hold him to the standard of one of the best stars in the league right now is a credit to him. That you look at him and you're like, oh, this guy's not almost 40 years old. He's one of the premier players in the league. So to me, I feel like I love that he's a Laker. It's perfect, a perfect combination of marriage. The most hated player in the league with the most hated franchise. Yep. Great thing. So I'm happy with him. It's been great to watch him, and the fact that you said all the points that I wanted to make Daniel about him as a player right now. He's got that burst from before the injury, and that's really all you can ask at this age because we're in uncharted territory. So and anything Mike says is hate.
So Daniel, welcome to the show. Thank you. Dan's here, Petty here. Petty, welcome to the show. All right, so every Profanity Nation show, we end with a segment we call Money Mike's Out of Bounds. It's really simple. Money Mike's going to share his thoughts or opinions on a topic, and he just wants to know, are those thoughts in bounds or out of bounds? Money Mike.
So I'm always here making arguments, and I know this crowd, the people that I'm here with.
You already know.
I'm going to ask you guys a question.
Okay, give it to me.
If I take Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Michael Jordan's accomplishments, just their accomplishments, look at their accomplishments, and compare that to LeBron, am I out of bounds to say you cannot call LeBron the GOAT if you compare his accomplishments to LeBron's? Am I out of bounds to say, look, I literally gave you three people that we could choose over? Bill Russell,
LeBron,
Bill Russell,
LeBron,
Michael Jordan,
LeBron,
and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
I'm taking LeBron over all of them.
You're taking LeBron over all of them.
And it's not just the championships he won, but it's the fact that he won for three different franchises, and the fact that two of those franchises were irrelevant when he got there. Not irrelevant. The Lakers are never irrelevant, but they were struggling. They were struggling. And the fact that he was able to turn both of those franchises around and lead them to a title, and he might do it again.
And make them relevant.
He might do it again. Now, let me ask you this, Mike. Let me counter that question with a different question. If LeBron wins the championship this year, is he a GOAT to you?
No, 100%. You know why? No. I'm going to tell you why.
There's nothing.
He'll never be a GOAT.
There's nothing LeBron James can do.
He can bring the heavens down and create it in front. He can make it rain literally in crypto.
LeBron
He'd still say no.
4-10 in the finals. 6. 4-6. I'm sorry. 4-6 in the finals.
Right.
He won't be the GOAT for that reason. Go ahead, Petty.
This is my whole issue with that whole debate in general. Like context, right? We always talk about how many. First of all, the whole how many wins or no losses. That didn't happen until LeBron came around. You want to know why? Because people were feeling insecure about the.
Yep.
It became a conversation until LeBron was starting to win championships. It wasn't even a conversation. My issue with this thing is Michael Jordan never played the competition that Kobe or LeBron played in the finals. He would have less championships if he played the Warriors. He would have less championships if he played the Spurs. I'm sorry,
I think Michael Jordan, if he played in this year in this way, he will average 50 points a game.
I'll just say this,
and be the number one, and still be the best defensive player.
We don't have to tear down any GOATs to elevate another one. They're all the GOATs of the era.
Okay.
I would like to say that.
That doesn't like what Mike accomplished, what Kobe accomplished, what Kareem accomplished.
It's all great. Yep.
Like no one's ever gonna tear down. For me, I say that just to add context. I don't mean to take away from Jordan. I'm just saying it was a different type of NBA where there was less. He had 3 Hall of Famers on that team too.
But remember, back then you could actually play defense back then, so they have that argument. So there's always going to be a counter argument to everything.
They didn't even have what's it called again? You couldn't even do 3-2. What is that? I can't even think of what it's called right now. They didn't even have zone defense.
You couldn't do zone.
Like, you couldn't play zone defense.
Which makes it wait.
That's why you can't compare. It's apples and oranges.
Can you imagine playing LeBron 1-on-1 in the 90s? You could foul him, sure, but
man, LeBron wouldn't survive it in that.
LeBron,
See, now we open up.
He's a perfect prototype. Let's go step Pat, and then we're gonna finish with Daniel.
So basically, we're talking about it's about to be extended. We have the whole GOAT conversation.
Some out of bounds.
So far, of course.
Yeah, I mean, but because I would say you're out of bounds only because the GOAT conversation is at this point is generational. We're not going to be the end all be all and say Jordan is the best of all time, because I can argue that, but I know there's going to be some people that's going to say LeBron James here.
For me,
and
it's
I
Kobe.
know there's some old people that say Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, because guess what? The conversation was Kareem is the GOAT. I don't know what this like Magic Michael Jordan person. Kareem did this, and those guys got drowned out. And then it was all about Michael Jordan.
Can we talk about accomplishment?
So we are going to talk about accomplishment.
But hey, also to your point, that's the issue with Kareem's whole legacy is that he was a person who wasn't loved by the media. The way that,
Right.
Well, he didn't love the media either.
That's
So,
true, yeah.
so it was mutual.
It's
It was mutual.
Yeah, Petty's saying his image wasn't as elevated.
Actually, he was actually a dick.
All right,
Daniel,
I'm
inbounds or out of
right?
bounds? Money
right?
Mike's thoughts on LeBron.
I'm inbounds.
I will say you're inbounds just because I think
My
everyone
man.
is entitled to their own opinion.
Wait, he handicapped that inbound. Hello.
Listen, Money Mike, you can put Money Mike and Petty in a room for 24 hours arguing about who's the GOAT, and they're both going to come out of there with the same exact opinion.
That's true.
Exactly.
That's true.
Like, he's not going to convince anyone, so I think all those guys are great. So I think you could argue for any of them, and you'll be right in my opinion. Like, whoever you like the best.
Listen, I will take your inbounds.
So you are right, and everybody's right. So there is no wrong with that. I love that opinion.
I'm taking the inbounds.
I love that, and that's the best about sports. That's the best about sports. We all have our own thoughts. Guys, this was great. This was our first Lakers roundtable. We're definitely going to do this again. Let's start with Daniel. Daniel, is there anything, anywhere you'd like to make sure that people can keep track of what you got going on? Obviously, LakersNation.com, but anything else you'd like to plug right now, please?
Yeah, if you want to follow me on Twitter and IG, it's just at @DStarkand, DSTARKAND. And like you said, just check me out on Lakers Nation. Got up articles every day. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Great stuff. And, of course, we're definitely going to keep up with that. Petty, if they don't know, they know. But go ahead and let everyone know how they can keep up to date with what you got going on.
So if you're looking for me on social media, on all platforms, it's at the Pettiest LA. If you don't know, now you know. And then also, coming soon, I have a show that, with Infinity Nation, Call of Culture Vultures, where we're going to be talking about, sneakers and fashion and basketball in there. So make sure you check it out, make sure you follow them. And
absolutely. Some big guests. All right.
Hey, you on 2K too, right? I'm going to help you out.
Okay, if you want to find me, you can find me on 2K. I wanted that to be a surprise.
That's cool.
Oh, my bad.
That's right. That's right.
I love it. Dan, Lakers fan, please let everybody know the best way. Keep up to date with what you got going on.
Man, follow me, guys, on Twitter at Dan the Laker Fan, on YouTube, Dan the Laker Fan /DTLF, and of course the new merch just dropped.
Love it.
City of Champs,
Court Kings,
representing the best city in LA, man. Championship trophy. ShopCourtKings.com, and just stay up to date, man, because we get it rocking all season long.
All right. Of course. For Money Mike, Stat Pat, I'm yours truly, Simsta. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Petty. Thank you, Dan. Thank you guys for joining. Lakers fans, we'll be back. Chime in, leave the comments, hit them up on Twitter. Tell them what you thought of their thoughts and their comments. We'll be back. Thanks, guys.
Peace.
Peace.